Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Jason. This is Art of Creation Homestead, and I want to welcome you guys to this week's devotional. In case you're watching it when it's first put out, yes, it's going to be. This is Sunday night. I'm going to try and do these on Sunday night rather than Monday morning. Just feel like it's going to be more efficient for us, and hopefully more of you guys will be able to tune in and watch that way. And for any new subscribers out there, we've just got a bunch from a collaboration we did with Leslie at the Farming Pastor's Wife. Appreciate y'all tuning in. If you're tuning in, I hope y'all get something from it. I'm gonna keep trying to do these, and I really, honestly, I hope y'all are encouraged and encouraged by God, and really get something from it and get a blessing from it, I reckon. And so, without further ado, let's get started. Okay. I remember, you think about a lot of times, just your memories of when you were little and things you used to do, and the kind of nostalgia, right? You remember playing in the woods with my brother, playing out in the fields with him, and I remember walking barefoot everywhere I went, and going barefoot to the store, and didn't care what the heck I was walking through, all gas and oil and whatever, just walking barefoot everywhere we went, riding in the back of my dad's truck to my grandparents' house. All these nostalgia memories, and of what we feel were good times and better times, and oftentimes maybe they were with just less cares, that felt safer. But our memories, remember when, and to get with some of the guys, you can say, well, remember that time we went out there by this old creek and we went catfishing and we did this and this happened, and remember that time we did this, and remember that time, Jim Bob he went down and all this other stuff, but our memories when you're remember a lot of things. Oftentimes it's times we spent with our grandparents or our parents, and fond memories of there playing till dark, and all the good times, right? The good times, the good old days, and back in high school when maybe you weren't doing things that were so good, and for some people it's positive memories, and some people it's negative memories, and it's the bad things they remember, and maybe they had a lot more experiences that were bad and they remember, and they're etched in their brains. And 1 Chronicles 16, verse 7 through 12 is where we're going to be today. David had just set up a tent for the ark of the Lord, and it says, verse 7, it says, that day David first committed to Asaph and his associates this psalm of thanks to the Lord. Verse 8 says, give thanks to the Lord, call on his name, make known among the nations what he has done. Sing to him, sing praise to him, tell of all his wonderful acts. Glory in his holy name. Let the hearts of those who seek the Lord rejoice. Look to the Lord in his strength. Seek his face always. Verse 12, remember the wonders he has done, his miracles, and the judgments he pronounced. So real quick today, I want to talk to you about remembering. Remember God. Remember the thing. First of all, remember the lessons you learned. It says, and the judgments he pronounced. So remember the things that maybe happened that weren't so good. Honestly, remember those things. You can remember, partying with your friends, or you can remember, going out and doing certain things. But you only remember the good things. If you don't remember the consequences to your actions, did you learn anything? So remember the lessons you learned. Remember the lessons you learned, and how bad the outcome really was. Well, I remember going out and getting drunk with my friends. Well, do you remember puking and having a headache and feeling like crap? Do you remember all the lies you had to say to get around to doing what you were doing? You remember all these things. Or remember, you can remember bad relationships. Remember all the bad relationships. Former relationship, maybe you think it was a good time, but maybe some bad things happened. Remember these things. Remember the lessons you learned. That's the first thing I want you to understand. Remember the lessons you learned, the consequences to your actions before. When things get hard, sometimes people get lonely. They go through hard times. And the Israelites did the same thing, by the way. In Deuteronomy, the Israelites were going through hard times like crazy, trying to get to God's promised land, trying to get to Canaan. Okay, the Israelites went through a bunch of terrible times, and they wanted to go back to Egypt, where they said they ate better, and they were tired of eating manna. They wanted to go back to the fish and the garlic and the onions and the leeks in Egypt. They wanted to go back there because it was better. But they were slaves in Egypt. They were under the thumb of an oppressive rulership. And repeatedly God had to say, remember, you were slaves in Egypt. Remember that in Egypt you were slaves. Remember. You can look it up. It's several times throughout Deuteronomy where he said, remember, you were slaves in Egypt. But they were going through such hard times, they didn't care. They thought they could only remember the good things. They thought it was better then. So sometimes when you're going through a hard time, and you can think, well, heck, I should just go back to this, or it was better then than it was now. Remember, you were slaves then. Remember, you were slaves to this world then. Remember the tough things that actually went on then. You know, I mean, we can even go back and say that now. Well, at least 2018 was better than 2021 is, or 2020 was. Well, there may have been some rough things happen in 2018 too. Maybe 2012, maybe 20 whatever year you're going to talk about. It was better then than it is now. Well, if God's trying to do something new, you know, tough it out. Let's get through it, right? But I mean, who knows what the actual outcome is going to be in the future of our current state? But I mean, remember, there was tough things then too. There's tough things earlier in your life that you dealt with, and so just remember that, you know, sometimes if you get a lonely spot, or if you get in a tough spot, a financial crisis, or something bad has happened, you know, there was bad consequences to your actions even then. You know, remember the lessons you learned. Remember that, you know, you were slaves to Egypt. You know, you were slaves to sin before you know Jesus, right? So that was the first thing. Remember that. It's like the Israelites had to remember, hey, they were slaves then. You know, just because it seemed like it was better, the grass ain't always greener over there, because they were slaves. All right? And but the last thing, the second thing, also says, remember the wonders he has done, his miracles. Remember those things too. Remember how good God is. Remember how good he's been to you. Remember that time that you had 23 cents left in your bank account and you didn't know how you were going to pay your bills or buy groceries the next week, and somehow or another overtime picked up at work and you got to start making more money. You may have had to work a little more, but hey, you got to make more money. You remember those times that you know, things were hard. Remember those times that God lifted you up out of the ditch. Remember those times that you had people leave you, and that somehow God was still there to sustain you. God never left you or forsook you. That you had hard times. Remember those times that you were sick, and that God healed you. Remember those times that there was a scenario where the doctor said, we're not sure what's going to happen. This could be bad. And a week later, there was no sign of it. Remember those times that God touched you with his hand, lifted you up, brought you along, and gave you a better life. And remember those times. Remember the time that he took a filthy sinner and he made you a pure and holy child of God by his marvelous grace and his precious blood. All these things, all these times, if you're in a hard time, if you're going through a hard time, remember, he's done it before. He can certainly do it again. And he certainly will do it again. He ain't going to let you down. That his grace never runs out. It's relentless grace. His marvelous grace. His love for you never stops. And anytime you're going through something harder, remember, He's done bigger things than that. There's nothing for him to take care of your situation that you may be in right now or going to be in. So that's a quick one today, but just remember God. Remember the lessons you learned, and remember how good he really is. Because he's not going to change. He's not going to change, y'all. And I appreciate you guys watching. If you got any prayer requests, comments, whatever, praise reports, leave them in the comments below. You can email us or whatever. But we'd love to hear from you and pray for you and rejoice with you, okay? My name is Jason. This is Art of Creation Homestead. We love you guys. God bless you, and goodbye.